Evaluate a lot of different things, and made some tough moves, tough decisions. Appreciate what those guys have did for me and for the Jaguars the last 2 years.
Jaguar General Manager Trent Baalke also met with the media and talked the Art of the Deal 2024.
Every player has the different specifics that go along with getting a deal done or not getting a deal done. Our focus is on getting deals done, and that's where we're going to keep it.
Florida Gator basketball looks to continue its strong home court performance as it faces off against Missouri this evening. At home, the Gators have won 6 straight and 12 of 13 this season. Hear the game live on 1010XL starting with the pregame at 6 p.m. And that's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson.
At 10:01, it's 71 degrees. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Obviously, you make tough decisions at the end of the season, and you evaluate, as a head coach, you evaluate a lot of different things. And, made some tough moves, tough decisions. Appreciate what those guys have did for me and for the Jaguars the last 2 years. And then my focus was, to get the next group of guys in there.
We've got a lot of work to do this offseason. I had a meeting with Kelvin the other day in my office. I had a great talk with Kelvin, know exactly where he's at, and he knows where we're at. So we're just going to continue to work with all these players and try to come to some form of compromise, some form of resolution as the weeks go on.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. We've done all the hard work, the grueling evaluations, made the tough decisions, and in the end, we've decided we're going to run it back in 2024. I can't help but come away feeling that there was a lot of that yesterday being expressed, particularly about the offensive line. Tony Smith, good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
I don't know. They only played together one game, Tone. It's just continuity and health's sake.
Yeah.
Did we not see a lot of them getting pushed around? Does it matter who the guy is next to you if you're getting throttled and thrashed about because you physically don't match up with the guy opposite you? It might matter to some small degree, but I don't think it's enough to make up for things. If we re-sign Ezra Cleveland, everything's fixed, though, on the offensive line.
I think it's all about how you want to take it, right? And I think a lot of people are really mad at the organization and have good reasons to be, right, after the decisions they didn't make last offseason. But you can even look at that comment from Doug Peterson. They only played together for the one game, right, and say, well, then why would they need Cam back? This guy's hurt. This guy's suspended, right? Like, you can look at it that way. If you choose to look at it that way, you can take that comment that way, but everyone's going to be on the side of,
How did you take it?
Right. I took it as they say nothing. That's what I take it as when they're at the combine talking. I think you say nothing, don't lie, right, is the way I feel about it. So when, for instance, when Trent Baalke's asked about their left tackle again, Cam Robinson, he says he's under contract. That's not he's playing left tackle for us. That's right now he's under contract. And later on in the press conference, he does answer a question by saying, you'll see what all our plans are going to look like starting next week. Right? He said both yesterday. So I know everyone is reacting like, well, the offensive line's going to be back together next year. I didn't take it that way, and I would still be really surprised if that's the direction that they want to go, having evaluated all those guys in the room, is we're going to go back with the same five. I just don't see it happening.
Do you think Cam Robinson's more likely to be back based on what you heard yesterday?
No.
Really? I do.
I don't.
I absolutely do. Now, is it under this current contract? Maybe not, where he counts $21 million against the cap. But, not only talking about him, but talking about him in a way about how he brings that nastiness and that edge to the line of scrimmage, which we know is a line that's been lacking that. And you've got the one guy who has some of that. Look, me personally, I would probably make the tough decision and move on from Cam this offseason. I don't get the sense, listening to it yesterday, that that's what they're going to do. Now, does that mean that it's 100% gospel they're going to start the same five? No, I don't think that that's the case, because I still think you've got to do something with Brandon Sheriff's contract at the very least. And I would hope they at least bring in some competition for Luke Fortner. But every time Luke Fortner's name gets brought up, they lean on, well, he started every game, so he's got a lot of experience. But is it good experience? Did he play well during that time? If you keep running him out there, he's going to have even more experience at the end of this year. It's not going to necessarily make him a better player.
The half second that makes me still feel like Cam Robinson probably isn't going to be here was when Trent Baalke was going through the list of guys they got to work on extensions with this offseason, and he finished that comment off by saying, walk.
I got that too. And was he talking about Walker Little or Trayvon Walker?
Can't extend Trayvon Walker.
After this upcoming season.
No, but he was asked about this offseason.
Was it specifically this offseason? Because he said we got a lot of guys with contract, because he mentioned Tyson and Trevor, and you don't have to necessarily do those.
You don't have to do those guys, but you can do those guys.
You can.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
like it was
too.
A list of all guys that they can extend right now and walk.
Right.
Now, it may have been Trayvon Walker.
Right. When he said walk, I immediately thought he was talking about Walker Little as well.
I thought it, yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you talking about Cam like he's your starter? And if Walker Little's not good enough to earn one of your starting spots, what are we extending him for? What exactly is making this a priority?
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it. I wondered if he was talking about Trayvon Walker.
And he might have been.
And
it's not like there was a follow-up there to see exactly what that was.
But I caught that. I was like, walk? Like, how is Walker Little any kind of a priority? Because I thought the same thing. But he did, because he was talking about Tyson and Trevor, and it's not clear when they're going to engage on those exactly. He could be talking about Trayvon Walker.
And I'll remind, they're talking to Josh Allen. Duh. Right? And they'd like to get the deal done before they have to use the tag. Duh. Right? Like, those are all things that are just obviously something they should be working on, that they'd be interested in bringing back Calvin Ridley. Yeah, obviously they would be interested in bringing back Calvin Ridley. I think yesterday was the first time that he talked about it as, look, if we have to give up a second-round pick to keep Calvin Ridley, fine. Right? Like, it's the first time he basically said it that way. It's like, we're just worried about getting the player back. It was the first time he expressed it that way yesterday. But I do go back to last year. At the NFL Combine, franchise tag hadn't been applied to Evan Ingram. They still had those three guys that everyone was like, how are they going to prioritize these three guys that are big-time free agents for the team? Now, most of us thought that Evan Ingram was going to be the one that was going to wind up getting the franchise tag, but not everybody, right? There was a group that thought Jawan Taylor may be the guy who's going to wind up getting the franchise tag so that they can extend the window with him and figure something else out. And when we came out of the Combine and they applied the franchise tag to Evan Ingram, there was a lot of confidence that the deal is going to get done soon. This is going to be a quick one. No, which is the Josh Allen that he's talking to Josh Allen's agent. Good. He should be talking to Josh Allen's agent. But I don't think it even changes in my mind the timeline on the Josh Allen thing. To me, it's like, well, obviously they were talking to Evan Ingram and all these guys last year during this process, this time of year last year as well. They got nothing done with any of them until months later with Evan Ingram. I think them saying that they're talking to guys doesn't mean much as they're going to the NFL Combine. I'm glad they're talking to Josh Allen. I hope they get the deal done in the next week. I still just don't expect that's going to be the way it plays out.
Well, and it's not just a matter of are they willing to make an offer or anything like that. As we've talked about, Josh Allen's camp may at this point go, hey, we're too close to free agency.
Yeah.
You're going to have to apply the tag because I'm not going to sign anything until I see what these other guys are getting, which is something we've talked about. I feel like in the past, they've indicated they're not giving up a second-round pick in the Ridley thing, that it would be a third-round pick,
During
right?
last offseason, he said it basically that way.
Right, and now it's like and was that just a case of they were more confident they'd be able to get something done before now? Here would be my question, though. If you get a deal that Ridley agrees to sign before the opening of free agency, if you agree to sign it, you know you're giving up the ability to shop that deal around, or maybe you're shopping it around anyway at the Combine,
give us till 4:05 that day.
Right.
Yeah.
So just give us till 4:05. Like, if you're going to sign it, here's the deal. It's the same deal, and it will help us put a better player on this roster by us keeping the second-round pick. Calvin Ridley, what would be the reason to not go along with that, other than you want your money this second and not,
unless you're using that as some kind of leverage to get the deal a little bit higher. Like, if that's the way he wants to use it, he could.
But even in the end, whatever number you agree to, if he agrees to sign it, he can sign it 5 minutes later once the league year has started.
For sure.
And it would matter. It would have a huge impact
For sure.
on the Jags. But, we started talking about this a little bit yesterday. In the end, does keeping Calvin Ridley trump the draft pick compensation period?
Mm-hmm.
And that's today's question today. If it came down to, and we get it, the best thing they could do is get Josh Allen done, and then they could franchise tag Ridley. Yes, it would be.
Agreed.
Or how about this? Get them both done and not franchise tag anybody. That would be great too. But if it plays out like this, and it came down to a choice between signing Ridley and keeping the third-round pick, and then in that case you're giving up your second-rounder in the deal to Atlanta, or keep that second-rounder and Ridley sign somewhere else, which would you prefer? Does the second-round pick trump Ridley? And keeping in mind, it's Ridley on probably a $20 million a year contract or something like that, eating up a big chunk of your cap, one of the highest paid guys on the team, and you get the third-round pick. Or do you prefer let him walk and get the second-round pick? And it's not a case of let him test the market and maybe he comes back.
He's gone.
It's one or the other. Do you want Ridley and the third, knowing he's going to get the big fat contract, or do you let him go somewhere else? You have the second. Maybe you now need to spend that second on the Calvin Ridley replacement, for instance, is a possibility. So it's a simple one-click vote there at MD_1010XL. You can hit us up as well at 1010XL Fat Tony and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Pockets, I hear, generally successful track meet for the Baldwin kids last night.
We did a pretty good job yesterday. I was pretty content with what we did. Had a couple of kids that ran personal best times, and good first track meet.
Fantastic. All right, good job to all those First Coast athletes out there competing in whatever you're competing in these days. We got Johnny O joining us live from Indianapolis coming up in under 10 minutes from now. We'll take you there live coming up next with the man from Jaguars.com, and we'll hear some selected thoughts from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke today and encourage your feedback as well. You heard it all day yesterday on 1010XL, or hopefully you went back and listened on one of our apps or on the website and go back and listen at your leisure. But regardless, you had plenty of opportunities to hear what Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke had to say. We'll play you a few of those comments. Otherwise, we'd be here until about 4 in the afternoon, honestly. There's a lot of those guys
Yes, there is.
happening
Longer than that.
yesterday. And that's fine. You know what? We appreciate the opportunity and glad to bring you that so you can hear from those guys firsthand. But we'll discuss what we heard and what we learned, if anything, yesterday throughout the course of the program today. So don't forget to vote in the poll. 641-1010 gets you on board on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. But coming up next, we speak with the senior writer from Jaguars.com live in Indianapolis at the Scouting Combine. John Ogier will stop by Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today from the JOI Studios. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
Launch the downloads.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
And initiate sequence.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
If you're getting engaged and want to spend way more than you should on a diamond, go ahead and shop the Big Chain Diamond Store. They love taking your money. But if you want the lowest price guaranteed, shop Beards Diamonds.
Right now, get 5 years, 0% financing with nothing down.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here with Arthur, who transformed his life by dropping 70 pounds.
People looking at me, what happened to you? I said, well, what happened to me is Awaken 180. I said, you got a choice here. You can stay big, you can get ill, or you can get in shape and do the best you can. I watch what I put into my mouth. I watch when I put it into my mouth. The coaches are right there always for you. We could send them an email in the morning. We get an email back before noon. These people are readily available. I haven't felt this energetic in so long. Awaken 180 is both my solution for weight loss and also my solution for creating and maintaining a healthy lifestyle.
Thanks, Arthur. Maintaining fast weight loss and then free support for life with your solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
It's the blog players put their pads on for.
So we want it, we got to bring it.
My thoughts and observations on our home team. That's what I share with you every week on my blog.
Roland Reach Plumbing brings you Hayes Blog on 1010XL.com.
Experience the high-flying action and side-by-side intensity of Daytona Supercross, Saturday, March 2nd. The only Monster Energy AMA Supercross event in Florida. Bring the whole family and get closer to the action with trackside access as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets with VIP passes to Daytona Supercross, answer this. What manufacturer has the most wins for this race? Text the correct answer to 641-1010 now.
Pickett here. The Borland Groover Foundation proudly presents the annual March to Get Screened 5K race and 1 mile fun run. Sunday, April 14th. The race starts at 7 a.m. under the Fuller Warren Bridge. Their mission, raise awareness about colorectal cancer and related deaths. All proceeds benefit the Borland Groover Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization devoted to building a healthy and equitable community that is free from colon cancer. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a coffee filter repairman from Jacksonville Beach. Meet Dave Carvelis.
Great to be here, Pat.
No time for chit-chat, Dave. Here's your question. Your AC has been acting up. Do you A, ignore it and hope it gets better on its own? 2, take off all your clothes when you watch TV and hope that does the trick? Or C, call Bueller Air Conditioning?
Oh, jeez. I do like to sit around with no pants on.
5 seconds, Dave.
I'll say C. Call Bueller.
That's right, Dave. A quick call to Bueller will have our expert AC technicians at your door, usually the same day, to make sure that you are cool.
Can I still watch the game with no pants on?
It's America, Dave. Knock yourself out.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. Growing up at the beach, I know good shrimp and oysters when I see them. It's local and it's fresh. That's why Mayport CNC Fisheries is my go-to for both. They have local shrimp in stock daily and fresh boxes of oysters. Eat like a local at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
February is Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center will help you take charge of your well-being. Their new location at World Golf Village off I-95 now provides screenings for prostate, bladder, and colorectal cancers. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Osher. Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On 1010XL.
All right, Jaguars Today here on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, your home for Jaguar football. The head coach and general manager speaking in Indianapolis at the Scouting Combine yesterday. Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, Mia O'Brien with continuing coverage throughout the week from Indianapolis, and our continuing coverage includes our man Johnny O from Jaguars.com, the senior writer, also in Indy today and this week. John, what's up? How are you?
Guys, I missed my little seat next to Fat Tony, but I'm here in Indy. So,
yeah,
so I'm
ready.
We put
a very small picture of you sitting in the seat right there.
Okay, well, I bet you did.
Yeah,
I bet you did.
we did. I'm sure it's very small. Probably the cameras wouldn't pick it up, but I'm just saying it's there. Just know that we miss you, John. John, I'll let you take it kind of open-ended.
Sure.
What, if anything, caught your ear? Caused your ears to perk up? Maybe a little bit of surprise, if anything, from anything you heard from Doug Peterson and/or Trent Baalke yesterday.
Well, I think it was notable that Doug said he's examining this off season about the play calling. I don't think Doug, honestly, last year thought that Press was doing a bad job or thought that anything would have been that much different had he been calling plays. I know fans felt differently about that, but I think Doug sort of thought that he and Press are of one mind and not a whole lot of difference when one's calling the plays. But he left it open yesterday, certainly, to, hey, I've got to do what's best for the team. I've got to look at it. And, he left it very open-ended. So I think that was notable. I don't know that very much that Trent said in terms of the progress on free agents. Is that surprising? I mean, he said conversations have been had with all, and that just sort of felt like ongoing, to use his words. So that wasn't surprising. I think it was notable in terms of updating that storyline for everybody and just sort of confirming what everybody would have sort of assumed.
Yeah, John, I tend to agree. I thought the biggest thing coming out of yesterday was Doug leaving the door open to his considering taking back play calling duties this year. I've seen several people ask this several different ways, but it basically amounts to what were the responsibilities that Doug Peterson was taking on last year that might have prevented him from taking over play calling duty from Press, or was it as simple as he just trusted Press to do the job?
Yeah, I never got the vibe that Doug thought, hey, I want to take this back and I just can't do it because I'm dealing with the defense or I'm dealing with X or Y. I think the spirit of it was more, I think he thought that Press A deserved the opportunity, but much more than that, I think that he looked at 2022 with Press calling plays in the second half of games and thought he was ready, didn't think it was going to be that big of a difference. The offense was good in the second half of those games. And I do think throughout the course of the season, I don't think Doug looked at a lot of whatever was going wrong with the offense as Press Taylor not calling good plays. I think what Doug liked about the situation, he's talked about it several times, not necessarily getting into specifics, but just being able to manage the game more on game day, not thinking about play calling and thinking more about big picture. That's tougher to do than you would think when you have your, I'll speak symbolically here, when you get your nose in a play sheet. So I think that's more what Doug liked and the big picture 30,000-foot view of the game as opposed to specifically having play calling duty.
John Oehser here with us from Jaguars.com. John, let's talk about the offensive line where, you can interpret what was said yesterday as our line is set. They just need to be healthy, or maybe it's a complete dumpster fire, but we're not going to tell you what we're going to do, or somewhere in between, right, is probably where it falls, right? Somewhere in between. But
I've got to think it's somewhere in between. So much of what's said in these media availability situations from these guys, they know the topic. If say, for example, if they think that they have to improve on Luke Fortner, well, they don't want to come out and necessarily say, hey, we've got to do this, and then not be able to work it in the draft. What if somebody takes the centers they want in the draft before him, and then they can't make a move in free agency? Well, all of a sudden you've said, hey, this guy's terrible. So I think that's why you stay vague. I think they do know that the offensive line has to improve. I would still be surprised if Sheriff is back just because of the cap number, not because necessarily he's a bad player. So I thought the interesting thing out of it was it seemed to me that they were both saying that Cam's going to be back.
Yes.
They didn't bang the table with that, but the way they were phrasing things certainly made it sound like that. That's news because that solidifies left tackle, Anton's right tackle. You would think that Walker Little's the swing, maybe competing in there. Again, as we talked about before, even when you think you've got one spot nailed down on the line, there's still a bunch of different things that might happen. So I think something happens. But if Cam's back, that's significant, right?
Well, it is, but it depends on, is he back on the last year of this deal where he's scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent next year? Balk at one point mentioned a number of guys who they have to consider extensions for in the near future, and he just said the name Walk. And at the time he said it, I thought he was talking about Walker Little.
Right.
Maybe Trayvon Walker, but it felt like he was talking about Walker Little, but I was a little confused because you got Anton. We know he's not going anywhere. I agree with you. I felt like they were both praising Cam Robinson more than I expected him to yesterday. So if Walker Little has not broken through in the time he's been here, how big of a priority can he be moving forward, John?
Yeah, I missed that. I don't know. He may have said it and I just missed it. They can't extend Trayvon this offseason.
I understand that, right.
Only a second year.
But it was in the context he was asked about. He's got Tyson Campbell's going to come up and Trevor's going to come up. And whereas you can extend them, you're not necessarily going to do that this offseason either. That's why I was a little confused when that name came up.
Yeah, that would have confused me as well. I wish I had a good answer. Saying I don't know isn't great radio, but I'm not sure of that because I'm with you. I would have sort of assumed right now that Walker Little entering the last year of his deal would seem I wouldn't expect that as an extension this offseason. But, I don't know all the ins and outs. So I don't know. Bad radio answer.
Did anything that Trent or Doug said yesterday help you solidify your ideas to any level about what you expect them to do in the draft?
Not really. I mean, they were asked specifically about corner, and I know corner is the way everybody's going, not really because I guess like you guys, there's so much smoke screen that trying to decipher it on February 28th when I can't decipher it on April 2nd just seems like folly. But clearly they were more, I don't know if the word's aggressive, but more specific on corners, saying, look, we know we have to address it. That was a little more pointed than you usually get this time of year. Does that mean they have to do it at 17? You guys follow the draft as much as me. As soon as you say they have to do something at number 17, they do something else after that and then address corner in the second round and surprise you. But I got to think corner on the first two rounds somewhere in there.
Well, John, the key to addressing it in the second round is having a second-round pick.
Sure.
As we know now, apparently, it doesn't really matter that much if it's a second or a third-rounder. We're not that concerned with that when it comes to re-signing Calvin Ridley, which is a departure from the past when Balky indicated that it would be a third-rounder if they brought him back because that's the way they would set it up. I mean, are you surprised that they may be willing to sign him prior to the opening of free agency? At least that's what those comments seem to indicate. And how do you expect this assuming Josh Allen gets the franchise tag, what do you think happens with Ridley?
Well, it sounds like if he gets the franchise tag, then I think they get something done with him before March 13th. I also don't necessarily think I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not hyper locked into that. I would lean in that direction as happening. I think the reason that he says something on the lines of, hey, we don't care that much about the second or third round pick, you're sort of in the phase now where when you're having negotiations with people, you don't want to say anything publicly that might indicate one way or the other what you're thinking. You don't want to do anything through the media. So I think that comment probably was more deflective than that. I think certainly they don't want to give up the second round pick. They'd really give up the third. I think you don't want to come out and say that right now. What will they do? I think Calvin's back. I'm probably 60-40 on that.
You know, John, we've all had the opportunity to break down what went wrong for the team in the back half of the season last year. You've been at the Combine for a number of years now, John. You were obviously there last year around a Jaguars team that seemed to be rising, right, after getting to the divisional round of the playoffs. What are the conversations, what have they been like around the Jaguars this year, especially in contrast to what they might have been like last year?
In terms of what outsiders are saying? Or in terms of, I thought it was interesting that, again, yesterday when Doug was talking about it, he did mention over and over again, just like he did all offseason, I think he really believed offensive line continuity was a big deal. And then injuries at the end of the season to Zay and not Christian, I think he really thought those factored in, probably made the difference in a win or two. Around the team itself, around the outsiders, I think it's more, look, the interior of their offensive line and the run defense, which the team knows too, those areas really failed them. The end of the season last year, I think the overriding concern that you hear among the buzz is this was a decent defensive team until about week 11 or 12. And then when everything sort of started going awry, that wasn't there to sort of pick it up. Maybe it wasn't expected to be that before the season, but then for 12 games it was, and then it wasn't. So I think that's a little more, you got to be better there. That's got to at least be able to help you hold serve at the end of the season. That's sort of the vibes I get it in general terms.
All right, John, now that Trent and Doug have spoken at the Combine, what is your coverage going to entail for the rest of the week, and what are we waiting for? I guess we're just waiting now for the franchise tag deadline to see what the Jags announce prior to that in terms of whether or not they get anything done with Josh Allen.
Yeah, Trent certainly talked yesterday in terms of, which makes sense. Hey, we got a week more on this thing. So they're looking at the franchise tag deadline. Let's get something done one way or the other and decide it. So that's sort of what we're looking at. Today is sort of a day where I've got Jaguars AM here in a few minutes. We'll have the same sort of conversations that we just had, sort of wrapping up Trent, wrapping up Doug, and then sights get set a little more to talking to some draft nicks, talking to some analysts. I used to do the Senior Bowl. The Combine is where I start trying to get my head around a little bit to what they're going to do in the draft. Like you, I try to put off looking at mock drafts as long as possible. I started looking at it about a month ago, and now I really get into it.
Oh, yeah. Like, once the Jags are eliminated, once the regular season ended, I was straight to the mock drafts.
You're a mock draft guy.
I love them.
When
I do.
I think of mock drafts, I think of you.
They're entertaining to me, and that's what they're there for, right? Yeah. I mean, they're not gospel. They are what they are. All right, we'll go learn about a bunch of players that we are going to be drafting, and we'll check in with you around this time tomorrow.
Guys, I appreciate the flexibility. Thanks a lot.
All right, Johnny O. There he goes, Jaguars embedded reporter at their own website, John Oehser, the senior writer from Jaguars.com. We'll come back, and let's open the discussion here on things you heard from Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke yesterday. Again, we'll play some selected cuts for you. Today's question of the day, if it came down to a choice between signing Calvin Ridley and keeping the third-round pick or losing Ridley and keeping their second-round pick, which would you prefer for the Jaguars? I don't think that's a misleading question at all. Somebody's having a really hard time with it, apparently, on social media. I mean, we all understand there are other avenues here. Thought we laid it out perfectly clearly. If it came, and it could come down to this choice. If you sign it before the opening of free agency, you're giving up that second-round pick. So is that a better alternative than losing him entirely, if those are your choices?
Yep.
There are better choices. They're not included in this poll. You know what's a better choice? Brinks truck backs up and dumps $1 billion on my front lawn, and I don't care about Twitter polls anymore. That's a better choice, but it's not one of our options today. Mm-hmm. We'll put that one in tomorrow. All right, so sign Ridley, keep the third, lose Ridley, keep the second. Those are your choices there. We'll come back and hear from the head coach, Doug Peterson of the Jacksonville Jaguars, straight ahead on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
She's spunky, aggressive, opinionated, and she knows how to keep the boys in line.
It's good to see you, too.
Mia O'Brien. Noon to 3 on 1010XL.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
We're in Florida, and pest problems are persistent. Want them gone? Mission accomplished with Mission Pest Solutions. Veteran and locally owned and operated, Mission Pest will blow your mind with their communication and response time for all your pest, termite, and mosquito needs. Text or call 904-944-PEST. You'll speak directly with the owners. Mention 1010XL when you call 944-PEST. You'll get 25% off your initial pest or termite protection service. Mission accomplished with Mission Pest Solutions.
Exciting news from Leonard Truck Accessories in Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. Stocking brands like Real Truck, UWS, WeatherGuard, carry-on trailers, and more. The best deals with the best prices only at Leonard Truck Accessories on Blanding Boulevard. Leonard, your truck, your style.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or, if you still have a mortgage rate in the threes, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband and wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at goosehead.com.
He's a professor of quarterback play, and class is in session.
We want to take you into the lab so you can learn more about the science of quarterback.
Denny Thompson, Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security.
Register Sausage.
And George Moore Chevrolet on 1010XL.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner. With honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand-new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Florida and Florida State baseball face off at 1-1 Financial Ballpark Tuesday, March 26th for the Fresh from Florida Sunshine Showdown. The annual Florida State versus Florida baseball game is a can't-miss event hosted by Gator Bowl Sports. Tickets on sale now. Act soon. This event sells out quickly. Florida State versus Florida baseball, Tuesday, March 26th at 6 o'clock. Get tickets at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com, and we'll see you at the ballpark.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, if you want to hear Frank Franchi's sit-down interviews with Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, they are available at 1010XL.com in the on-demand section. You can go back and listen at your leisure. They had those interviews. They did their podium interviews with the media at large, and then they did a local media scrum as well with the folks like Mia O'Brien and Hayes Carline are up there. So there are a lot of opportunities. Tony, we've pulled this audio from a variety of those sources here to try to give you an overall general sense of the storylines coming out of the scouting combine from a Jaguar perspective yesterday. So we'll start in with Doug Peterson, and the play calling thing has been, something that people harped on obviously a lot throughout the season.
No doubt.
Early in the offseason, are we going to get rid of Press Taylor, want to move on, da-da-da-da-da. At least will Doug take back play calling duties. And he was asked about this yesterday, and he talked about areas needed to address and fix when it came to play calling.
Are there things we need to address and fix? Yes, there are. And we've done that already this offseason, the last 6-7 weeks being in the building. Do we have to get better? Yes, we do. Coaches have to. It starts with us. Listen, it starts with me, and it starts with the coordinators, and then it trickles down. So my confidence is high. There's still a lot of collaboration with he and I in game, off season, and again, we've got to make sure that we're putting our players right. It's all about the players, and we got to make sure that they're in the best position to go execute. If that means scale back, let's scale back. Let's not have a big volume of stuff, and to me, that's where it starts.
And continuing along those lines, Doug Peterson was followed up with a question asking, is he considering taking over play calling duties this year?
I think those are things that I need to, consider, this offseason, this spring. There were things out of my control that I had to deal with more, the last year. It takes you away from some of that stuff, and I'm not going to get into those, but it's something that I have to, as part of the evaluation process, and I have to evaluate, myself and impress as decision makers and play callers and see what's best for our team.
It's interesting. Before we get to what's interesting there, final comment on that, just a direct follow-up. So to be clear, Doug, you've not decided whether you or Press Taylor will be calling the plays this year.
I mean, those are, again, I haven't decided, but those are all ongoing conversations that Press and I will have, and go from there.
Hard to find too many people that came away from listening to Doug Peterson yesterday in as many moments in front of a microphone that don't believe that he's taking back play calling. Right? Well, because, Tone, there are a lot of ways you can answer this question without answering it directly, but the fact that he's putting it out there, that this is such a thing that he's dwelling on and thinking about, in some way you're already undercut Press Taylor as the play caller, right? Just the fact that, this is an unsettled thing. We're going to have to take a long, hard look about whether or not it's right for me to take away the duty that I gave him full-time last year. In a sense, you've set him up at worst as a guy that, if he does have play calling duties, the first time you call a 3rd and 1 that isn't successful, everybody's all over this guy. And look, that's the nature of people in play calling. But I certainly came away thinking that the more he wouldn't commit to answering the question, and I get it, if you don't have an answer, you can't give an answer, but I feel like, look, this is his ship. Whatever the other stuff he was dealing with that he, quote, didn't want to get into, it's a little mysterious to me, right? I mean, Mike Caldwell's in his second year. You would think that side of the ball is less of a burden on your attention because you've got a guy now in his second year as the OC. I don't know if it was like injury issues, what was going, but I don't know how, like, all right, we're without Devon Hamilton for a period of time or Cam gets suspended. How does that change your focus on game day in terms of whether or not you're going to be calling plays? I'm not sure what he was talking about.
When we got to the end of the season and the defensive side of the ball is where the coaching changes were mostly going to be coming, including the coordinator level, right? When that wound up being what was being announced, I wasn't surprised that Press Taylor wasn't going to be among the changes in the coaching staff, given how connected I think he and Doug Peterson really are, right? And I think we're getting to a point where when one's gone, they're both gone. Like, that's the way it feels to me, right, at this point, if it's a firing. Like, if it's Press Taylor finds a job somewhere, that's different, right? If he gets the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, not that he was in that cycle this offseason, but if he got the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, that's different. I think I'm more convinced that if Press is going to be fired, that Doug's probably going with him, right? It's the way that it feels to me right now. I also keep going back to 2 seasons ago when the offense was more effective was in the second halves of all those games where Press was calling the plays. Right? So I get it. There's all this frustration with what happened at times last year, but I'm just not as frustrated with Press as most people seem to be in this situation. But yesterday was the first time this offseason that we've heard Coach Peterson at least express that, no, I haven't made that decision yet. Right? I'm still thinking about it. I tend to think that it's going to wind up with Press Taylor calling the plays. Like, I think that's where this is eventually going to land still. But it is interesting that for the first time, I didn't have any doubt about that a week ago, right? Like, who was going to be calling the plays for the offense? I was pretty sure it was going to be Press Taylor calling the plays again this year. Now, at least the coach has left the door open for everyone that's been scrambling to get Press out of the play calling duties. The door was open yesterday for everyone to still consider. I really do. I think it'll wind up being Press Taylor is going to be the offensive coordinator and calling the plays. I think that's where it's going to wind up. Maybe Doug is more involved, and I'm with you. It is mysterious. What was he doing that was keeping him from doing it? Right?
Yeah.
And we'll never probably get an answer to what exactly that was, and he doesn't have to give one. Like he said, I don't want to go into it. Fine.
And I get the whole, I want the 10,000-foot view of everything, but that would be the same during your first year, your second year. That didn't change.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at least the ability or desire to have that kind of view, it seemed like there was things that he needed to pay attention to that were drawing his attention away.
Yes.
Is the way he made it sound. Look, to me, Doug Peterson earned a rep as being a really good play caller. As Frank Frangie, when he sat down and said some people called you best play caller in the league coming off that Super Bowl victory. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you? If that is your strength, lean into it.
I agree.
I mean, it's why these young up-and-coming offensive coordinators are so attractive to get jobs. It's kind of like you're double dipping. You're getting the head guy, but you're also getting the guy that's going to orchestrate your offense. And I think ultimately, whether it starts out this way or not, I think Doug Peterson is going to, unless things go swimmingly well right out of the gates, I think Doug Peterson will take back the play calling full-time, whether that's to start the year or at some point during the season, because if you're going to go down, you got to go down swinging.
Yeah.
Right? If this is your main area of expertise, the edge that you bring to this football team above all else, then utilize it.
No, yeah. And it's not like he would be the only head coach calling the plays.
Of course not.
Right? Like it's not uncommon when your head coach is an offensive guy that he winds up being the guy who's going to be calling the plays. Now, look, all of these things are collaborative, right? Andy Reid isn't doing it by himself. He's the guy who's ultimately calling the plays, and he's excellent at it, right? Like he doesn't need anybody else to call the plays, but it's not like Andy's the only guy putting in any kind of thought in different moments as to what's going to go on. He's just the guy who gets the ultimate vote, right? On this is the play we're running, right? Like he gets the last call on those things. I'd be more comfortable with Doug Peterson being the guy that I know is in that position now. Like I would be more comfortable with Doug being in that position. To last year, he was willing to defer that side of it to Press Taylor, not without him having some kind of input as to what they're doing play to play, right? Doug was involved in all that, I'm sure, but ultimately, Press is the one calling the play.
Right. I mean, look, and Doug leaned into, hey, we were a pretty good passing offense and all this. You're a terrible running offense.
And he acknowledged that too.
Right, he did. And, there are particularly some situational times where the Jags really struggled, and I get it. If you can't move people and it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, all of a sudden your play calling has to get a little bit more exotic. And when you're lining up in shotgun or pistol on 3rd and 2, you're basically signaling to the world, we don't have the guys up front that can get the job done.
Yeah, our best option on 3rd and 1 is our quarterback is tall, right?
Right.
That's
right. I heard you say that to the guys on the drill.
And that really is where they were at. The later part of the season when Trevor was still healthy enough to run a QB sneak. That wasn't all the way through the back half of the season, but when he was still healthy enough to run that kind of play, then that was the best option they had, given the limitations they had on the interior offensive line.
And he did acknowledge that the injuries being a factor with Trevor Lawrence, and we're not going to dwell on that. We all know, and I don't doubt that that's a real thing, right? I mean, his play tailed off as he started to accumulate injuries, and I thought really the thing that I listened to when he was talking about that was the amount of practice time. That eventually you're like, you know what, as good as these guys are, the cumulative effect of missing practice day after day after day.
Not practicing all week.
It's hard to show up on game day and perform at a high level, particularly throwing the football. But, I still think I trust their judgment that Trevor was the right guy over C.J. Beathard, who took snaps all week. I'd rather go down swinging with my guy. One here on Trevor. We'll get to the offensive line stuff after the top of the hour, but acknowledging something that everybody knows. Trevor, I would hope at the top of this list, he needs to limit the turnovers.
It has to. I mean, he can't keep, and he knows it, right? He knows it. He can't keep turning the ball over, and we got to protect it, and we will. And we can talk about it. There's a lot of things we can, communicate with him, and you just got to keep going back and showing him the reasons why. This is why you made this decision. This is why the ball came out of your hand. This is why, and show him the whys, and educate him, right? And he'll embrace that, and he'll get better, and look forward to doing that.
Yeah, that's something that, in addition to personnel improvements, Trevor Lawrence just needs to play better. At time, and he was playing well up until when the injuries started to mount. But in the end, man, people don't want to hear that. They just want a better performance, and he has, regardless of injury. Tony, he's turned it over way too much, and whether it's been interceptions in the red zone, just general poor ball security in the pocket, whatever the case may be, you're killing yourself. You're killing your team when you do that. This team doesn't have that kind of margin for error. I mean, if he could have cut down by about 8, one every other game, what he did last year, Jags are probably a playoff team.
Yeah, they only got to win one more game.
Right.
Yeah.
So, nobody is ignoring the fact that, yes, granted, needs better protection, needs weapons, all these things. Trevor Lawrence needs to be better himself on top of that. What about the offensive line? What about all these comments about Cam Robinson? We'll hear what Doug Peterson had to say, and we'll hear from Trent Baalke coming up in hour number 2 as well, weighing in on a number of these Jaguar-related issues. If you have a comment or a question Jaguar-related, 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Helping you over the hump. Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Weight Loss Wednesday continues from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios on 1010XL.
The plot begins to thicken. Now, I can't be specific about the heroes and zeros.
Dan Hick, Jeff Prosser, Mike Demps, Fat Tony, Joe C, Hacker, Matt Hayes, Leon Searcy, Frank Franchi, Hayes Carline, Lauren Brooks, Rick Balloon, 1010XL.
Spring is in the air, and that means another great event at Tobacco Cove. Come enjoy a great cigar and explore the creations from Foundation Cigars. Master blender Nick Molillo has created these masterpieces. Experience the Highclere Castle, the Wise Man, the Tabernacle, and the Olmec. Join us at Tobacco Cove this Saturday from 1 to 4 for food, prizes, and great deals at Tobacco Cove Cigars at the corner of Bay Meadows and San Jose. It's time to welcome in spring with Foundation Cigars at Tobacco Cove.
Experience the high-flying action and side-by-side intensity of Daytona Supercross, Saturday, March 2nd, the only Monster Energy AMA Supercross event in Florida. Bring the whole family and get closer to the action with trackside access as riders get pushed to the limits on the Ricky Carmichael designed track. For a chance to win tickets with VIP passes to Daytona Supercross, answer this. What manufacturer has the most wins for this race? Text the correct answer to 641-1010 now.
Break free from the old school hassle at All Pro Roofing. They've revolutionized the game. And guess what? No more pressure, hassle, or time meeting with someone face to face for a roof quote. Unlock the power of an instant roof quote right from the comfort of your home. Get the information you need when you need it. Explore your roofing options today. Head over to allproofingllc.com. Hit that instant roof quote tab for a free instant roof quote. allproofingllc.com.
License number CCC 1327056.
CDC 060138.
Folks, the First Coast has voted. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is proud to be chosen as Bold City's best in 4 categories: Best Orthopedic Practice, Physical Therapy, Pain Management, and Foot Care Clinic. For the last 30 years, JOI has continually strived for the highest level of orthopedic surgery and rehab care. As the needs of the community evolve, so will they. That's why coaches, parents, and athletes choose JOI. Call them at JOI 2000 or visit JOI.net. JOI, where the pros go.
Mia here, and are you ready for big President's Day savings? How's this sound? No payments for 90 days and just $500 down can get you behind the wheel of a brand new Toyota. With the help of Arlington's pre-approval program, that new Toyota will be sitting in your drive sooner than you think. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. Save big now through President's Day in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Pross, I'm thinking about changing my name.
Again? You're already the media mogul, the straw that stirs the drink, the Duke of Pablo Bay. Now what?
Refer to me as Dreamfinder's Danny Hicken.
What in the blazes? Is this a cash grab?
No, it's just that I believe so much in Dreamfinder's homes. 20 locations in Northeast Florida, official home builder of Jags and Gators. Great opportunity for first-time homeowners.
All right, Dreamfinder's Danny it is.
Did I mention the lowest interest rates you can find? Visit dreamfindershomes.com. Now let Dreamfinder's Danny celebrate through the majesty of song. Dreamfinders, I believe they will build your home just right.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, I have heard you talk about growing a diamond from a smaller size to a larger size. Exactly how does that work at Underwoods?
David, it's a very simple thing we do on diamond solitaire rings and diamond ear studs and diamond solitaire necklaces. When a customer buys one of these items from Underwoods, we guarantee they get the price paid for it on the purchase of any larger or more expensive diamond. Now, a lot of places would say we do the same thing, but where Underwoods is different is we don't care if you're only trading up by 1/100th of a carat or going up by $1. We give the customer the full value of the diamond they're trading in. The Underwood Grow a Diamond program has been in place for a number of years, and it's something the people here in North Florida have been taking advantage of for a long time.
That's at Underwoods, where you can grow a diamond.
Underwoods, serving excellence since 1928 in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Underwood Jewelers.
Hicken here. When it comes to your eye health, you want to make the winning move. That's where Bow9 Associates comes in. February, it's the month of love. And what better way to show some love by than taking care of your family's vision? Bow9 isn't just about seeing clearly. They're about making sure your eye game is in its prime. And folks, they got not one, not two, but 3 convenient locations across town. I call that home court advantage. So call Bow9 Associates and schedule your winning eye exam. Bow9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Window Gain Jacksonville. Florida Gators men's basketball is coming off a high, winning their last 8 out of 10 games, and will host the Missouri Tigers in the O-Dome tonight. Game time's at 6:30. The JU Dolphins are back in the historic Swisher Arena tonight, taking on Stetson. Tip-off is at 7. You can listen to both games live on 1010 a.m. Between Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, the wide receiver group was a banged-up position last year that Coach Peterson knows hurt towards the end of the stretch, and would like to see more consistency this upcoming season.
It was unfortunate last year because Christian got hurt late in the season. Zay was banged up for the majority of the season. So, again, that was another position group that didn't have all their, their horses, so to speak, week in and week out.
It's 74 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Had a lot of injuries, Tony. Just need to stay healthy. That's all, right? Super Bowl champs. I mean, look, there is something to if you stay healthy. Might have been a little bit better, might have won one more game, and you might have been in the playoffs as the division champs. But does everybody else get to stay healthy too? Do they get to pick
Obviously
which
not.
Guys? Just us? Is that how that works, right? If only all our guys stay healthy the whole time and play up to their capabilities, we'll be just fine. All right, I want to get into the offensive line through the eyes of Doug Peterson here and Trent Baalke as well, but we'll finish up with some Doug thoughts. First, some of the stuff that he said to the local media, and then a few of the comments that he made from the podium yesterday. You may have heard some of this throughout the course of the day yesterday. And again, go back and listen. Frank Franchi with one-on-one sit-downs with both Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke available in the on-demand section at 1010XL.com. And here's Doug, though, starting things off on the Cam Robinson front, said he hopes to have Cam back.
I hope so. As an organization, I mean, he's under contract, and I just think that, Cam brings an edge. Cam brings some physicality, to the offensive line. He has to. He's like Trevor. I mean, he understands that. Hey, his role is to help this team win, and can't put the team, can't put the players, can't put us in situations that he did last year. Now the injury is out of anybody's control, but they're talking about the suspension, right? And it's about being a pro. And listen, these are conversations that Cam, we know we've had, I definitely like having him on the team. He's fun to be around, brings a lot of energy out there, and he makes us better.
There's definitely a line, and I don't think that they don't collaborate. I'm sure Peterson and Baalke talk about these kind of things, right? But there is a hey, I let him coach, I let him handle the contract stuff, and they try not to step on each other's toes publicly that much.
They certainly walked that line yesterday.
They did yesterday, right? And maybe they do it when they feel like it's to their advantage. But regardless, this is you ask a coach, do you want Cam Robinson? Well, yeah, I think we're better with Cam Robinson. That doesn't mean you're not asking him, do you want Cam Robinson with a $21 million cap hit, or do you not want Cam Robinson and have only a $5 million cap hit, right? And that's not his end of it. Does Doug Peterson want Cam Robinson? You bring some edge, right? That's the thing, Tony. It's evident. We got Dave Campo on here practically daily, harping on this is like the number one thing this team needs an infusion of is attitude and edge on the offensive line. And I think you're hearing that to some degree from Doug Peterson. Now, remember the last time Trent Baalke spoke, a couple weeks after the season ended, he said, I don't want to go down the road of Cam Robinson when he said, hey, Josh Allen will be a Jaguar, but I'm not going to speculate on the future of some of these guys. Well, wait a minute. didn't even speculate. You stated definitively this is what's going to happen with the future of this guy. And the fact that you don't with the other guy opens it up to wondering what the circumstance is because, people are savvy nowadays. We understand the cap implications and all that. So here's a guy who wants him back. I agree with you. I don't think that necessarily means Cam is likely to be back, but we'll hear more comments from the GM on this front, too.
Yeah, and I think you hear part of the comments there, even from the coach who is saying that he wants him back, is he hurt us last year.
Yes.
Right? Him not being available early in the season and him getting hurt.
Got to be a pro, he said.
That hurt us, right? Like, it's not like these things are exclusive of one another. It's all a package deal. It's one player, and I don't blame the coach for talking about everything he adds and talking about how he hurt him. Like, that's fine, right? And he's asked about a specific player, so he gives a full answer about that player. And it is a peek behind the curtain of what they're thinking about Cam Robinson, right? Because the organization, you've never heard them express anything that makes you think they just don't like him. Like, I've never heard them express anything that makes you feel that way about it. It just may finally be to the point where it's, you know what, that amount of money, we're not doing that, right? Like, we may finally be
like him as a player.
Right, to that kind of point with Cam. So we'll see how that works out. But Coach was also asked about where he believes the guy who's been the target of most of the frustration from the fan base last year, Luke Fortner, the second-year center, where he feels like Fortner needs to improve.
Here's the thing, with Luke, and he's started for the last 2 years for us, a lot of games, and if not all of them. And there's strengths and weaknesses that every player has to work on. And I'm not going to get into what we have to work on with him specifically because I think that's just a one-on-one conversation with player and coach. But he knows where he needs to get to. We know where we want him to get to, and it's our job to help him get there. And so that's in our power to do that, and that's what we're going to do and focus on this spring and make sure that he takes a step in that direction.
Yeah, a step in that direction, meaning he needs to get stronger, more physical, right? We know this, right? They keep harping on experience, but if your experience is I'm getting pushed on my butt, that's not really helping you develop a whole lot, I don't think.
And when talking to Frank, Coach specifically they didn't help him, right? Probably as much as they could have last year with what the things that they were asking him to do, and also pointed out that the noise outside the building from media and fans.
Oh, I heard that too. Was that him or was that Balky who said that? Was it Peterson?
That was Peterson.
Okay.
Yeah, said that about
Fortner.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like, what?
Come on, man.
Like, that affected the way he was playing, that the fans think he stinks?
It got into his head.
Like, what?
Yeah, well, I hope he's taken the offseason off from social media at this point. Doug Peterson, prior to those comments at the podium at the NFL Combine yesterday, explained what he sees as the issues with the offensive line.
Our offensive line, obviously, and I think if you talk to these guys individually, they know and we know that it wasn't our best, right? And as a coaching staff, I put a lot of this on us and making sure that we're doing the right things to put our players in position. You've heard me say this a lot. Put our players in position to be successful. Give them an opportunity, and that falls on us as coaches through game planning and scheming and not having too much. Just have the right amount of plays to execute, and then in turn that falls back onto the player. Right, the player has to go out and play and use his God-given ability to go execute the play. So we're going to continue to look to improve. We always talk about competition. We want to bring in players to add value and depth at every position. And then we have to coach it better. We've got to teach it better, and we got to detail it. It all starts in the offseason.
Jags changed a lot of coaches this offseason, right? Basically all their defensive guys, a couple guys on offense. Phil Rauscher's back, right?
He is.
I mean, we didn't coach it well. He's your offensive line coach and your run game coordinator. And I get it. They were praising Phil Rauscher the year before.
They were.
So what is it? If you didn't coach it well, where's the accountability for the coaches? I mean, is it – I felt like he really put a lot of lean into the positions we put these guys into other than these guys need to just be better. They need to be better players. And I get it. Coaches want to say, oh, that's our job to get it out of them. You can only get so much out of the raw material you're given. You know, you can improve those guys and you get them to play to their peak, but their peak may simply not be good enough to be a top half of the league player at their position or a top 2/3 player.
And it makes sense. Look, it's the NFL Combine. You haven't been able to do anything to address your roster. You know, to this point in the offseason, the free agency hasn't opened up. You haven't gone through the draft. And look, as I've said throughout the process with the Fortner thing, there's no reason to burn him. Right? As a coaching staff, there's no reason to burn them until whatever decisions you're going to make in that regard get made. Like, I expect changes to come, but Coach was asked about, and it's our last comment here from Coach Peterson, but how he feels about the current group they have in that offensive line room.
The addition of Ezra, we thought was going to be that left guard. If you think about it, Cam, Ezra, Luke, Brandon, and Ton played one game together. Last game of the regular season, right? So we've had that kind of revolving door on the left side, for whatever reason, injury, performance, whatever it might be. And, Cam, the suspension, and then the injury late in the season, so he missed 8 games. We didn't have consistency. We didn't have continuity. And that affects 5 guys up front, right? And so that's where we have to get back to. We've got to get back to a little more consistency there. But we can also help them as coaches and prepare them better. And I know we will starting this offseason.
Look, you got to have good players. I get that, right? But people like Joe Tooney is one of the best guards in the league, right? Chiefs didn't have him for the Super Bowl, didn't have him for the AFC Championship game. Granted, they've got Mahomes, but, at a certain point, you've got to overcome some of this stuff. By the way, the one game they had all the guys together for, they averaged 3.6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So, it was only one game.
Right. And if Cam only played 8 games, then was he really your left tackle?
Right.
Right. Okay. So he only played with those other 4 guys once. How about Walker Little or whoever else she had playing left tackle throughout the season last year? Because someone had to start the other 9.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Look, you're right that there's no point in burying guys, but
look, and it makes sense you dealt with what you dealt with last year. Injuries were an issue along the offensive line, right? And that comment, that could be as simple as he meant it, was we dealt with a bunch of injuries and different things that were happening on the offensive line. It affected our play on the field. Agreed. Right? Like, if that was as simple as the comment was, I agree with you, Coach. It clearly had an effect on the team, and we'll see what kind of adjustments they're going to make based on that.
It does feel like I can't blame anybody for feeling that, and this is an oversimplification probably, but I say probably, that we're just going to run it back, and we're just going to hope these guys stay healthy, and if they're available, we think we're going to be much better. That's presuming we can re-sign Ezra Cleveland.
Well, that's because last year they told you that Kayvon Chaison's fine as the 3.
I understand.
Right? They spent a whole offseason saying they're comfortable with it.
Which is why everyone right now is –
they're just going to do it again on the offensive line.
Right, they're just rolling their eyes, or either they're nervous or they're beyond being nervous, and they're just expecting no good.
I don't expect that
to
be the result of what happens with the team this offseason, but I can understand fans feeling nervous about it at this point in the process.
I mean, they've done nothing. Look, and again, it's not their job to get up there and give you their game plan for how they're going to lay out the entire offseason, but oftentimes we hear them talking about a guy. Well, they can't really mean that, and then they do mean that. And
sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do, and they've again, we didn't play any of those clips in this package, but how many times I heard Doug Peterson talk about yesterday, or Trent Baalke. Well, Luke Fortner's got a lot of experience. That's a lot of valuable experience.
Said he started every game.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's because that's who you picked, and you ran out there every week. If you had started me, I would have started every game. That doesn't mean any experience I got would have been valuable.
Yeah. That's in the category of you're saying things that are true.
Yes.
Right? Like, he played every game.
He did.
And in a situation like the Combine, I expect coaches to say nothing, don't lie. Right? Like, that's what I'm expecting from the coach and GM. Don't say anything about whatever your plan's going to be in the next week. Just don't lie about any of the players. Saying Luke Fortner needs to get better, needs to get stronger, started every game for us the last 2 years. These are all true statements, right, about what is going on with Luke Fortner. None of that means he's going to be the starting center for him this year. He still could be.
By the way, on a completely different angle here about 15 minutes ago. Albert Breer tweeted out the NFL Players Association did a survey on working conditions around the league. Where would you suspect the Jags were during the Coughlin EVP era?
Oh, last
32nd, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when the Players Association put out a memo to its members saying you might want to think twice about going to play for that organization. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here.
I bet the new building helped with that.
Your bottom 5 on working conditions in the league. Steelers, I thought they were the model franchise, right? Steelers, Patriots, Chargers, the Chiefs.
Wow.
Quit your yapping. We've got Super Bowls, right? I mean, how much does it matter what the working conditions are? How bad can they be if they've won the Super Bowl the last few years and then the Commanders are in the bottom 5? The top 5 best working conditions, if this matters to you out there, the NFLPA player survey, and it could matter to a pending free agent. Dolphins, Vikings, Packers, Eagles, Jaguars.
Nice.
Top 5 working conditions. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's all. Like, they got that new facility down there.
Right.
It's fantastic.
It's a better environment to be in. And,
right?
And
new
look,
weight room, new training, like all that.
You know, it's like Brian Nielsen said, look, I didn't know what they had going on down here, but I bet you free agents will notice, when they take visits and that kind of thing can maybe. Look, it's not going to make the difference between you signing everybody or being the worst in the free agent market, but it might make a difference over the course of 5 years on a couple of signings, having better conditions. It's not a bad thing. Let's put it that way. I'd rather have bottom 5 working conditions and the rings like the Chiefs do. However, that's the side I'd come down on.
Like
Today's poll question, Tony.
I'm looking at the NFLPA report card right now, just where the Jags did well.
Yes.
Right. The owner, by the players' vote, got an A here in Jacksonville. Kansas City.
All right, hold on. I'm going to channel snarky Jaguar fan. Well, that's because he doesn't demand excellence or any results from any of these guys, and they know that they can just come in here and collect their money and have a nice, comfortable vacation.
Yeah,
am I doing well?
Probably. They don't include any of the comments from any of the players.
I was
on
guessing that would be a fan reaction to that A grade. For
but
Shad
it is kind of most of the grades on the owners are basically A or D or F. Right, like that's for most teams. It's like it basically feels like I don't care, and the other half is this guy stinks. Like that's the way that it feels. Like Arizona got an F, not a surprise, right? That Arizona would get an F in that regard. Carolina got a D, right? But a bunch of other teams, it's A's and B's all over the place. But Jacksonville gets an A. Kansas City, F minus.
F minus
from the Players Association. With the owner. What is going on in Kansas City with the ownership?
You don't have to kowtow to anybody when you're winning rings, Tony.
No.
You think it was fun playing for New England, all those championships?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Pittsburgh, the only other F in the league, by the way, in ownership.
They'll stink. Okay? Terrible, terrible people. They say that the Minnesota and Miami blew everyone else away in these things. That they're, the Jags are in the top 5, but it's like the top 2 and everybody else.
Right.
And Minnesota's got brand new facilities up there as well, and that's that's what players like. It's why they pour all this money into these college locker rooms and weight rooms and all that. People want to be pampered and treated like stars. And hey, it's good work if you can get it. All right, we'll come back and we'll hear from your favorite guy, Jacksonville, Trent Olke. General manager of your Jacksonville Jaguars, weighing in on a number of Jaguar-related issues. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Pretty soon, we're going to have nothing but skinny people around 1010XL. Everybody's getting on the Awaken 180 program, and you know why? It works. You're going to get great results if you stick with the plan. I guarantee you're going to have success. 98% satisfaction rating. I'm willing to bet that less than 2% that weren't satisfied didn't stick to the plan. I'm telling you, if you follow what Awaken 180's instruction is to you, you're going to lose weight. Probably lose a bunch initially, but then 4 to 5 pounds a week on average, guaranteed until you hit your goal weight. And once you do, then you're going to maintain that weight loss because Awaken 180 has great strategy, great coaching, and all that coaching and support is free for life once you hit your goal weight. That's right. Establish a goal weight. They'll come up with a plan. You're going to be successful if you stick with it and then keep the weight off. What could be better? Call 844-346-1800. That's 844-346-1800 and join the Awaken 180 weight loss revolution. Not a crash diet, not a surgical procedure, just a simple plan to lose weight and keep it off. Go online to awaken180weightloss.com.
It's another Weight Loss Wednesday. Awaken 180 Weight Loss in the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios, where the pros go. Wonder what Jeff Prosser would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
What do you know about stock car racing?
Watch on television, of course.
You've seen it on television?
ESPN. The coverage is excellent. You'd be surprised at how much you can pick up.
Jeff Prosser.
Sure I would.
Mornings on 1010XL.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best products and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From roll-and lock bed covers to Lear toppers to cam locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
It's the 60th Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet, March 14 through 16. Track events will be held at Hodges Stadium on the campus of UNF. Thursday, March 14, the annual Hall of Fame Gala at the Potter's House International. Friday, March 15, the first collegiate meet at 10 a.m. and the Coach Day Middle School Track Meet, 5 p.m. On Saturday, March 16, the annual Bob Hayes Invitational Track and Field Meet at 8:30 a.m. at Hodges Stadium. For information and tickets, visit bhitm22.org. Presented by the City of Jacksonville and Pepsi.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Garage getting too full with stuff? Need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Tons of locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access and month-to-month rental agreements. Moving, they can help with supplies. Heading to the players? Look for the storage locker and free bag check at the fan gift shop courtesy of Atlantic Self Storage. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com to find the location and move-in special closest to you.
We don't have too many cold nights on the First Coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
He's a professor of quarterback play, and class is in session.
We want to take you into the lab so you can learn more about the science of quarterback.
Denny Thompson, Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security.
Register Sausage.
And George Moore Chevrolet on 1010XL.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I know Honda, they're so cool on the road and off the road, but guess what? Tell them about them being on the water.
There is an all-new Honda boat coming out. We went out and partnered with Scout, who's been making the finest holes in the business for years. They're fuel-efficient, dynamic, and class-leading.
So Honda is in the boat business, and you will see boats coming to Cycles of Jacksonville soon.
We will have them in the spring, ready to go.
CyclesofJacksonville.com. Keep track of all of it. Find them on Atlantic near Regency.
It's Mardi Gras all February long at the Blue Crab Crab House. About Creole and Cajun entrees like blackened redfish with creamy shrimp sauce, oysters Bienville, shrimp étouffée, shrimp and sausage gumbo, Creole fried catfish. It goes on and on and on. It is the one, the only Blue Crab Crab House. February, non-stop Mardi Gras. The Blue Crab Crab House, right off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today
On 1010XL.
Working. That's an ongoing discussion that we're having with his agent. In fact, later today, I'm going to have another meeting with him as well. So just ongoing.
Nose to the grindstone, Trent Baalke. Just going to get this thing done. Tony has been, beating a path to Josh Allen's agent's door. Basically camping out in the yard.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get this thing done. What if they do? They might.
I hope so.
I mean, he knows what the benefits are. It's not stupid. Maybe ineffective. I don't think Trent Baalke's stupid, right? Like, if he believes this, he's stupid. All right, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think he understands the implications for the salary cap, for the flexibility, for having say over whether or not Calvin Ridley returns.
Right, and we just had the long conversation about the offensive line stuff going on, reacting to what Coach Peterson had to say, and it's still cloudy to me. How committed they are to Cam Robinson being back. I think there is still room in that. I think it's been very clear throughout the process they want Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley back, right? It's trying to figure out exactly how you're able to pull that off. And, look, I thought it was very clear last offseason that they were interested in keeping two, at least, of those three big-time free agents, that they were interested in keeping all three. At this time, at the Combine, that's the way they were still expressing. We want them all, right? We're trying to figure out how to do it with them all. They got one. When everything was said and done, they got one of them. It's not that they weren't interested in keeping all three, but they were able to keep hold of one of those guys, given the contract negotiations and everything else that was going on. So, yeah, I am 100% sure they want Josh Allen and they want Calvin Ridley back. It's not as simple as wanting them back to get them back.
All right, well, here is Baalke on recently meeting with Calvin Ridley.
We've got a lot of work to do this offseason. I had a meeting with Calvin the other day in my office. I had a great talk with Calvin, know exactly where he's at, and he knows where we're at. So we're just going to continue to work with all these players and try to come to some form of compromise, some form of resolution as the weeks go on.
Doesn't really tell you much.
No.
Right there. We know where he's at. We know where we're at.
We've talked.
If we're in the same exact spot, we'd probably be announcing a new contract
for
Calvin Ridley. And then through compromise in there, which makes me think that they're got a little gap.
Right. If it was a year ago and you replace Calvin Ridley's name in that comment with Jawan Taylor, it's the same thing, right? That part of it isn't any different. Trent Baalke was also asked about how important is the difference between giving up a second or a third round pick to get Ridley back in the building.
Well, we're not real concerned with that, whether it's a second or a third round. We're just going to work with the player and see if we can come to an agreement whether that's before that compensation changes or not. That remains to be seen. But we're more focused on the player.
Of course, you got to be more focused on the player. But if you're not factoring this in, it's lunacy to me.
Agreed.
Honestly, this is dumb. That if you sign Calvin Ridley and you give up the second-round pick, then it's dumb on Calvin's part, right? It's dumb on somebody's part because if Calvin doesn't understand, wait 2 weeks and sign the same exact deal, and you'll have a chance to have a better teammate. We'll have a higher pick that benefits you, benefits everybody. You're not going anywhere. You're getting your money. Just sign it at 401 on the first day of free agency. If he doesn't get that, and isn't willing to play along with, why? Once you agree, I'm going to sign this. What's the drawback to waiting?
Doesn't seem to be any.
Doesn't seem to be any, right? I mean, nothing realistically. Oh, you get a week's less interest. Okay,
unless he needs the money today,
and you know what I mean. I don't think that will be.
I don't think that's
the case. So, this is a departure though from Trent saying. It'll be it won't be a second.
And maybe that departure is an expression of how important getting a deal done with Ridley is.
Maybe it is.
Right? Maybe that's as simple as that as what that is, but it is, people are going to react to it.
Which is what we're asking you today. The question of the day is if it came down to a choice between keeping Ridley and keeping your third round pick, or losing him and keeping your second-round pick, knowing that you're going to lose one of those picks.
Yeah.
Either way. You already lost the third, but it can upgrade to losing the second. I think most people understand what we're asking here today.
Yes.
Would you rather have Ridley and have that pick drop down to the third round, or would you rather him walk? And keep in mind, by the way, if he walks, it's not to say you couldn't, make a run at Mike Evans if he gets out to free agency.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
All the other options, draft, free agency,
Absolutely.
are open to you if you let him walk.
Right, and if you could get Mike Evans for the same money that you could get Calvin Ridley and keep a better pick in the process, that would be attractive. The difference is you get to negotiate with Ridley right now.
Yeah.
You get to get as close as possible without the ink drying on the paper.
And if you feel that way, vote that way.
Cam Robinson, Trent Baalke says, I expect him back.
I don't know where the ambiguity was. He's under contract, and the expectation is that he will be back. We've had a lot of discussions over the last 2 weeks. We obviously got a lot of moves we got to do. There's a lot of players that have hit free agency. There's another bunch of young guys that we're working on potential extensions for. So we've got a lot of balls in the air right now, and we're just going to try to play them one by one.
Now, two things here. One, where did the ambiguity come from? From you.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean you don't understand? When you were asked at, I don't want to call it the season-ending press conference, the press conference he did a couple weeks after the year, he was very definitive. Josh Allen will be a Jaguar. Okay, fine. What about Cam Robinson? Well, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, do you not understand how you could be so definitive on one guy and Cam Robinson was under contract then too? Mm-hmm. In fact, Josh Allen's not under contract, and
Correct.
You're defining that he will absolutely be back. So the ambiguity came out of your mouth. I don't understand why he thinks that's even a question, but he goes beyond, well, Cam's under contract right now. He goes, I expect him to be back. Now, does you control that if you're asking him to play under this last year? Then that goes from expect to, oh, he will be back, because that's within your control. So I wonder if I expect him to be back because I think it will be able to work something out to lower his cap figure. I still find it hard to believe he's going to be back on the current contract at $21 million. But I do think that they are making plans to have an offensive line that includes Cam Robinson.
Yeah, whatever the conversations have been over the course of the last several weeks since he had that last press conference apparently have been okay when it comes to Cam Robinson. Those comments reflect that.
We got more from Trent Baalke. If we can get to it coming up in this final segment, we will. Obviously, we've got the rest of the week to parse what was said yesterday as well. We'll look at today's question of the day, some of the reaction to it. Sign Ridley, and how do we do this? Lose Ridley, keep the second-round pick. Mm-hmm. Sign Ridley, and keep the third-round pick. All right, that's, again, I think most people understand what the implications of this are if it came down to that choice. Obviously, the ideal thing is keep the second and keep Ridley. If that's not the choice, if the choice is we're either going to sign him and lose that second rounder and we'll get the third rounder back, or we're going to lose him and we'll keep that second rounder and we're losing the third rounder, which of those options is the better one?
If you eliminate the
Jags?
option of signing him in free agency, which do you vote?
Correct.
Yeah.
Or franchise tagging him.
Yeah.
Or any other method that keeps him here and keeps the second-round pick in the Jags' pocket. If it's a choice basically between keeping that second or signing Ridley, and keep in mind, it's not just signing Ridley. It's signing Ridley to a deal that at the moment they probably need to create cap space to make it work under the cap for 2024 at the very least. So we'll take a look at that and debate that when we come back on the other side as well. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss. Your home for Florida Gators basketball is 1010XL.
It's a midweek matchup with Missouri. Gators Tigers tonight at 6 on 1010 AM.
Start your new year off healthy. Get screened at Ackerman Urology for common cancers of the prostate, bladder, and kidney. Early detection is key with 5 locations across Northeast Florida. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
David Lane here again for Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. After several surgeries for age-old issues, mainly my back and shoulders, there's no doubt that Southeast Orthopedic Specialists is my sustaining resource for living pain-free. Take it from me, and I'm being really honest here, there's no better orthopedic facility here in Jacksonville.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hi, I'm Malavia Washington, and I am thankful to the players for being a champion for children here in Northeast Florida. Only 13 days until the Players' Championship.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
When it rains, it better drain. If storm drains on your commercial property aren't doing their job, this is a major liability that needs to be corrected. Call Duck Duck Rooter to have your storm drains jetted and cleaned with our powerful vac con truck. We'll clear the way for better drainage. Call 904-862-6769. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Duck Duck Rooter, your fully insured certified plumbing and underground utility contractor.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or, if you still have a mortgage rate in the threes, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Frank Frangie here. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, and I love living here. But I also know how bad bugs are in Florida. So I trust Orange Environmental Services to handle all my pest control needs because they've got the best technicians and effective treatment. Their name may be orange, but they think green. Orange Environmental has been serving the First Coast for over 50 years, and they now offer complete lawn maintenance services. Call Orange Environmental Services for peace of mind from bug problems today. Call them at 272-3284. That's 272-3284.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the Doobie Brothers. Tom Johnston, Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, and John McPhee. The 2024 Tour. With special guest, the Robert Cray Band, live in Jacksonville. Performing at Daly's Place July 8th. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit theDoobieBrothers.com.
Dave Benyon with Zero Res. As the temps outside are warming up, so is Zero Res. Right now, it's the hottest price of the year. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $147, and the 4th room is free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. Google Zero Res and see what people are saying. Zero Res has over 6,000 5-star reviews. Remember, February is the hottest price of the year for Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $147, and the 4th room is free. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. Farah.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures in regards to Calvin Ridley. It'll cost more to wait. It'll get offers from multiple teams. Calvin's in the driver's seat if you don't sign him now. Well, you can't compel him to sign now.
No.
Right? No matter what you offer Calvin Ridley, presuming you don't have the franchise tag to use on him. You're using that on Josh Allen in this hypothetical.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley can say, okay, appreciate the offer. I'm going to wait a week.
I want to see what I'm going to get.
What else I'm going to get.
Yeah.
So, and whatever number. So can you come up with a number that makes him go, all right, fine, I'll sign this now. If he's willing to sign now, then why wouldn't he be willing to sign on day one? That can you even craft an offer that would make him willing to not listen to what other people were going to be willing to pay him? You know what I mean?
You probably could.
Maybe.
But again, it's like the Josh Allen thing. We've talked about this as well. I would be willing to offer him $30+ million a year.
Josh.
Right. I'm not sure the team is. There might be people out there that are willing to offer Calvin Ridley $26, $27 million a year. I don't think the team is. Right? So I don't think they're making the kind of offer that would have Calvin saying, you know what? Sign it. I don't think they're willing to make that offer right now. I think they've negotiated both sides and know where they stand at this point going into what's going to be an open free agency window for Calvin Ridley. He's not going to go into it not knowing what the Jaguars want to do, right? Not knowing what the Jaguars offer likely is going to be to him, and probably will get offers from other teams and come back to the Jags and say, this is what they're telling me. Right? Are you willing to match this? I want to stay here. Are you willing to match this?
Right.
Right? That's how this process is going to work. If you're in that group that would be willing to give Calvin Ridley $27 million a year, say that.
And here's the thing. If Ridley's willing to take that today or next week before free agency opens, all right, Calvin, you're going to sign for this, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you'll sign today.
Still wait because it helps the team.
Then do it on the day that it opens up. If you're really willing to do that, then, and if you're not, and you want to start shopping it around at that point, then we're going to start looking at other alternatives as well. Mm-hmm. Because, apparently they're not going to move on from anybody. They feel like they're in a pretty good spot cap-wise from what they're saying. So it makes me wonder how aggressive they're going to be in trying to, other than signing their own guys back.
Sure.
And how well did Ezra Cleveland play? I don't know. You know what I mean?
I do not know.
That's one of their priority guys that they're trying to get back right now. All right,
and they can talk to him right now. They can't talk to any of their other priorities because they're not free agents yet. Right?
Except for Ridley.
Right.
I mean,
they can talk to the guys they can talk to.
I understand.
And so, they're probably interested in all the guys that they know.
All right, let's take a look at today's question of the day and give it the old 10-10 take.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take, brought to you by Leonard Truck Accessories.
All right, we understand there are more than two alternatives in how things can go down with Ridley. But if it came down to sign him before free agency opens up, knowing that you're going to lose the second-round pick, right? You're going to lose a second or a third.
Mm-hmm.
In this scenario, you'd lose the second. You'd have Ridley for,
I don't know. Signing him now.
I don't know what the number would be.
Yeah.
Okay, $20+ million a year, probably. The other one, nope. You'll lose him because you don't want to give up that second-round pick, and he's going to walk when free agency comes. What's the better plan? Do you want to sign him and keep the third-rounder or lose him and keep the second-rounder? I think that's pretty clear to everybody, right? Anyone who would be voting in this poll, I would think, has been following this issue along. Tony, I don't want to lose Calvin Ridley. If it's the difference between one round, if I felt for sure that I knew that this was a great drafting team, that we could go out and I could get a guy who's going to cost me less over the course of his rookie deal than Calvin Ridley will for 1 year,
sure,
I think I might want to go that way. But here's the thing. You get Calvin Ridley and, in this scenario, a third-round pick. It's either the second-round pick or it's Ridley and the third-round pick is what you get. And I think having Calvin Ridley, it'd be like if Calvin Ridley didn't play for this team, okay? and you had a second rounder, and the third rounder you had was a compensatory pick, which is where the Jags stand right now, what they expect. And you said, man, we're interested in Calvin Ridley. To guarantee him signing with you, would you drop that second rounder down to a third?
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Yeah, I would too. I look at it and say, do I think Calvin Ridley is worth a second and a fifth-round pick? Yes, I do. Right, because they've already given up the 5.
Right.
Like, that's out the door.
And honestly, they've given up the 3.
Right. Like, do I think that he's worth that? Yeah.
Do I think he's worth the difference between a third and a second is what it comes down, plus the contract.
Right. Like, yes, I think that he is. Given the options that are going to be available to him in free agency, I do. I think he's worth it. That's easily the direction I would go, would be sign Ridley, keep the third, even if it costs me the second. I'm firmly in that camp with the Calvin Ridley thing. And I'm still in favor of the Jags drafting somebody, a wide receiver at some point that's their guy. Like, I'm still in favor of them going in that direction at some point in this year's draft, even if they bring Ridley back. It doesn't have to be at 17, and obviously it wouldn't be in the second round under that scenario. But, yeah, I'm still in favor of them drafting and developing a young guy to eventually be a top-of-the-depth chart type of player for this franchise. But Calvin Ridley, I think, is that type of player right now. He may not have hit those 1,400 yards and all that last year. I thought he was a good player last year. Could have been a better year for him, but I expect even more out of him if it's year 2 in a Jags uniform.
3 out of 4 going that way, by the way. Sign Ridley, keep the third as opposed to lose him, and keep the second. 74.5% out of over 450 votes on that so far. On the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures from KC and Jack's Beach, if Ridley and Balky had the agreement that you're talking about, in other words, here's the deal, we're going to wait, Balky would be saying exactly what he's saying now. Look, I'm not going to sit here and give Balky an offseason grade, right? And I agree with this text, but, like, I'm not sitting here going, oh, Balky's absolutely going to screw this up. I am fearful, but I'm willing to say, hey, you know what? Got a deal. Imagine if he gets a deal done with Josh Allen and he does franchise Ridley. And then however that plays out, even if he plays on the tag, and then we go about our business. Then we'll get, he's going to stick with Luke Fortner. Well, let's find out.
If they keep both and make changes on the interior offensive line, good.
But, right. Like, I'm holding out the possibility that those things can happen.
Yeah.
Will they happen? Are they likely to happen? I don't know. I think there's more wholesale changing that needs to take place on the offensive line than they seem to indicate yesterday. But again, if they're just keeping their cards close to the chest and don't want to tip their hand to anybody, fine. Okay? I mean, anything they've done today or said yesterday isn't the final word on the subject. The final word is whether or not you get that thing done with Josh Allen. And then if you don't and you apply the franchise tag later on, do you get a long-term extension done? When does he show up? Is he forced to play under the tag? Whatever the question may be, that's a whole set of issues. Then, okay, you don't have the franchise tag. How does it work out with Ridley? Who do you bring back? Are you really paying Cam $21 million, or is he really going to eat $21 million of your cap space this year? After he's been okay, but I don't think great. Maybe he's your best option. I mean, they've got to get answered before we can ultimately judge. I get the fear. A lot of people have a lot of trepidation that it's going to go in a direction they don't want it to.
Sure.
Totally understand that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it has to go that way.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. All right. I'm sure. I don't know if they're tired of it, but they had a lot of Peterson and Balky yesterday on XL Primetime. Probably a little bit more today, I would imagine. Let's say hello.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Tire Outlet is now hiring. Visit TireOutlet.com/careers. Equal opportunity employer.
Matt Hayes, hello. Greetings. How are you?
We are never tired of the Jags on XL Prime.
We're certainly not on Jaguars Today.
But are you sick of Balky? That's the question.
No.
Okay.
He's good content.
I get sick of the same old over and over and over again. I felt like yesterday, and maybe it's just the way we're interpreting it, it felt like, do they really feel that much more strongly about, certain aspects of the offensive line? Like, I mean, Balky came flat out and said, I expect Cam will be here.
That was the big news, I think.
He didn't say, we'll see.
Right.
And then he said, I don't
under
understand.
Contract.
But then why didn't you say that when you were asked about it a few weeks ago when you said, well, I don't really want to get into that? And then he goes, I don't understand where the ambiguity comes from. Came right out of your mouth. I mean, it literally came out of your mouth when you said Josh Allen will be a Jaguar. I don't want to get into Cam.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
It's not like the person asking didn't know he's under contract this year.
Right.
We know.
Right.
We're aware he's under contract for one more year. Is he going to be here?
So,
I mean, that was important, but I also think, like, it sounded like, again, it's just me, it sounded like they're doubling down the entire line.
That's what it sounds like.
Man,
right? Bring back Ezra. I mean, is Sheriff really going to play at that cap figure this year?
Can't imagine that.
I can't imagine Cam plays at his cap figure, though, either.
Right.
You know, so we'll find out. Like Tony said, if you get up there,
2 jobs.
Don't lie.
Say
you don't
nothing.
Have to, you don't have to say anything, but just don't.
Your first job is don't
Well,
lie.
I mean, you know, they can say all these things. Cam's under contract, yes, but when you say I expect Cam Robinson to be a Jaguar, you have say over whether or not he's a Jaguar. So don't
pencil that in, man.
Don't tell us, well, I expected him, but I thought it would go different. Well, that's what you expect. You're creating an expectation in the fan base that the tackle position is asked and answered, whether it's under this deal or some modified deal that Cam's going to be here.
Right? Well, it's also like he's under contract. We expect him. In other words, he's putting the onus on him. It's not on him. It's on you.
Well, we know he's going to
show
show up.
Right.
You know,
if you're paying him $21 million, he's going to be here.
I don't understand where
the onus isn't on him. It's on you.
By the way, Matt, if the Jags treated players' families better, they might have been a top 4 team in the NFLPA poll. Did you see the poll that came out?
Not.
They poll you on the players, and like 1,700 players. That's a big sample size. Replied on how are the facilities, how's the weight room, how's the food, how's this. Jags got A's and B's in everything except treatment of families. They got a D-. But still, they were so good in everything else. Owner got an A. Okay, this is from the players.
A D-.
A D- for treatment of families. Everything out. The B- was the worst that they got in any other category. They finished 5th overall.
They went
with the
into
5th highest grade.
Something must have happened there with that D- that they all rallied around.
Well, they went
right
like it was last year when they had specifics coming out with it, and it was about especially players who had wives with kids that were there and newborns, and there wasn't easy places to go to take care of the baby. Like that kind of thing was the major complaint. And you look at across the league, right? The family services is the one that grades the lowest. Like it's basically like it's not that it's bad everywhere, but it's bad in more places in that specific category than any of the other categories. And I think that does speak to our teams putting enough attention on that kind of thing. And I get it. Like before they had the new facility especially, it's like, where can anyone go?
Yeah.
Like they changed one of the bathrooms downstairs
to a family
bathroom. And it was like, well, that makes sense. Why don't they have a bunch of these, you know, in different places around the facility for the families?
Well, we hear how are they going to attract any good players? How are they ever going to win with, you know, when they have bad ratings, right? Well, Kansas City's in the bottom 5 of the whole league in terms of how they treat their players.
Right. Just protect your quarterback.
Bottom 5.
Start there.
The owner, like Clark Hunt got like the worst owner grade.
F-.
Really?
Anyone Shad got an A.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Something's not right.
Don't look at Shad. It ain't Shad's fault, right? All right, Matt, have a good show today.
All right, thanks, guys.
More from the Combine, I'm sure. Mia O'Brien checking in live. Hayes and Frank later on this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have more from the Combine tomorrow. We'll have another live report from John Ogier as we go along throughout the course of the week. So that will do it for us today. Thanks to Johnny O for stopping by live from Indy in the first hour. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back at it again tomorrow from 10 to noon with more Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today from the JOI Studios. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for